Looking forward to next year, Governor Scott Walker says he has 5 simple goals.
No surprises right off the bat. Create more jobs, help people create jobs, not the government. Do more to develop the workforce, transform education, reform government, and make strategic investments in infrastructure.
Job creation will be the immediate concern for the governor and for the legislature. There are a lot of ideas out there how to do it.
We talk about creating more jobs. It's simple things like, do we continue to keep property taxes down? I'd like to do that. Do we take part of that surplus, which, by the way, we went from 2 years ago being at $3.6 billion in deficit to now having about $500 million in reserve, some in the rainy day fund and the rest in the surplus. So of that surplus, do we take some of that and apply that to income tax cuts? I'd like to see income taxes go down. I think it's good not only for those of us who are consumers as individuals to put more money in the economy. I think ultimately helps small businesses grow because most of them pay individual and not corporate tax.
One of the big job creation opportunities involves a company that wants to mine iron ore in northern Wisconsin. Under current state law, starting a new mining operation is a complicated and uncertain process. Last session, the legislature tried to pass a new mining law, but that effort fell apart. Governor Walker and the legislature are determined to try again this next session.
It's been a priority I've talked about. It fits in that number one, create jobs. I mean, my goodness, we've got an employer who's willing to invest $1.5 billion to employ not only on site, but for all the ripple effect of jobs that we related to it, as many as 3,000 people in this state. We should be doing cartwheels for that. And so all we're asking for is a bill that will streamline the process for safe and environmentally sound mining. You know, we're not gonna get rid of clean air, clean water, clean land issues out there, because in the end, you know, agriculture and tourism are two of our biggest industries, and those things are important to it. But we can have, the two aren't mutually exclusive. You can have a good environment and good jobs at the same time. Iron ore in particular is one of the more efficient, one of the more environmentally sound ways of harvesting a mineral out of the ground. And what better than a state to be able to perfect it? So I've argued not only that I want a bill and I want it soon in the legislative session, and I've worked with legislative leaders to move that forward, but also to say, let's start with the bill that passed in the state assembly. We've already gotten through one major hurdle. Then you can come back and make some tweaks. There are some things that Senator Collins' committee's brought up, that Tim Sullivan and others have brought up. I think there are some reasonable adjustments, but with the cautionary that we're not looking to pass a bill just to pat ourselves on the back and call it a mining bill. We want a bill that ultimately leads to the thousands of jobs that would come from a mine.
After Governor Walker won the June 5th recall election, he has hopes the animosity throughout the state has subsided.
It's not that there's no protesters or that I falsely believe that, you know, there's nobody in the state who doesn't share my political beliefs. But the atmosphere from a year ago is night and day different. I mean, and I think part of it is because not all, but many of the people who were the most antagonistic, the most difficult, were people who were either paid or weren't from Wisconsin. And so those folks have moved on after the recall. We saw it in the Capitol. We've seen it at events around the state. We've seen it at the attitude. And I think, you know, people ask, you know, what's one of your, you know, what's one of the biggest moment of the year? I said, well, it's June 5th. And it's not just because I won. That's nice, obviously. And it's certainly personally nice for my family, because for them, thank God, it's just over. But I think for a state, even for those who may not always be politically aligned with me, just being done with the recall is a tremendous relief for the people of the state. It's a tremendous burden off our shoulders. We can get back to just doing things, and it makes a whole lot easier to work on things, most of which, when I mentioned those 5 things, I mean, those are my priorities, but I think they're largely aligned with others, including many others on the other side of the political aisle, who, yeah, there'll be nuances we'll disagree with, but we can talk about those things. There's not the pressure to be combative and to be at each other's throats on this stuff. We can just move forward. I think that's a good thing all the way around.
For the MacIver Institute, I'm Bill Osmolsky.